This week, we talk about our first concerts. We discuss which artists are destined for the county fair, and we dive into B-movies. The tracks we talk about this week are Female Trouble by Josie Cotton, A Tear in the Fabric by Devon Williams, Wasted from Chelsea Williams, Playtime by Louis XIV, and Hopscotch from love-sadKID. This is Nanobot Rock Mixtape. And with that, this has all become a generic other podcast. Because we're going to talk sports. Here we are, Clay and Greg talking sports on the Nanobot.
No, we're not going to become a morning zoo show.
This just breaking
Here's
overnight.
An interesting headline. Where are all the Texas Penguins gone?
Gronkowski drinks decaf. Let's talk about it.
That's so funny.
Clay.
Greg.
Clay. Let's talk music. Elevator tunes.
Well, I told you about the time that I went into the grocery store. This was a couple of years ago, and Built to Spill was playing over the loudspeaker. And I'm like, wow, I have officially reached old man zone. Where I'm like, this is a song from my youth.
It'd be a lot cooler if Built to Spill was like actually playing in the produce section.
Call them up. What are they doing right now?
Probably the same thing we all are, which is nothing. Sitting at home watching our hair grow long. Growing glorious beards.
What did you think of that Low Cut Connie live show?
That was awesome. That was really awesome. Lots of energy, and the guitarist in a mask sitting in the back.
Yeah, the only
you
thing
sit back there.
That's right. Do not come within 10 feet of me. But play me on. Play me on.
And I like the costume change behind the piano. He'd go behind the piano and put on a robe.
Put on a bathrobe. The thing I kept on thinking, I'm like, he's in an apartment, and I just have to imagine like his neighbors are just like, God damn it, he's doing it again.
Singing and screaming at the camera.
Yeah.
And there's a third person because the camera person.
Yep. Who I think is also doing the social media. That
was pretty nice. I've been trying to watch a lot of that. The Hoot Hoots did an amazing live stream. I missed the May 4th one that they did, but they had the light up sneakers and the glasses, and they had like a Super Mario World intro. It was super cool. It was a lot of fun.
One of our artists this week is also doing a weekly live stream show. We'll get to that later.
Stay tuned for
right
more.
After this.
Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with mesothelioma? I'm watching too much daytime television. I'm sorry.
You also need to come up with a new diagnosis because you've used that one like 8 times now. Did you receive a heart stent in 2006?
Have you had mesh implanted on your thumb? If so, call the law offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Wasn't that in a Leisure Suit Larry game?
Probably. Wow, I see what games you're playing. Let's keep it kid appropriate here, Clay. Jeez. I mean, I don't know what Leisure Suit Larry is. What is that, Clay? Tell me about that. Oops.
Well, that sounds like a fun avenue to talk about.
Let's talk about inappropriate games, shall we? Low Cut Connie, the live set was awesome. The Hoot Hoots put on a live set. Actually, last night, after playing the song quiz that I was texting you about with Minnie Ripperton, I watched Aaron Golay perform on an outside patio at some bar because Idaho's reopening. And found out that he actually has an upcoming album. His debut full-length will come out in June. So if anybody's listening, keep your eyes peeled to Nanobot Rock for the review and details on that, because we will certainly be doing things about some such and what have you and what other.
Way to keep people on the edge of their seat with that one.
Ooh. So what live shows have you streamed, Clay? Or what's been your favorite that you've seen so far, the live stream?
I gotta be honest, that's really that Low Cut Connie one is the only one that I've jumped into, because by the time the kids are in bed, I'm not digging for live streams. I'm trying to find something to watch on TV. What's funny is I actually turned on Axis last night, and it was the Eagles When Hell Freezes Over show.
Oh, yeah.
From 1997.
With the Flamenco Hotel California?
Yep.
I remember watching Axis and watching Faith No More, and they were performing, I want to say it was like Glastonbury.
Okay.
I think it was a huge festival, and they weren't a nighttime show. They were kind of that like late afternoon. They clearly weren't a headliner. Maybe they were passing through. I don't know what it was, but they were performing easy like a Sunday morning.
Cause I'm easy like Sunday morning,
and I'm easy. So Mike Patton's at the front of the stage, and there's these huge red curtains that are coming down at the front of the stage, and he's singing the song, and he walks over to the curtain, grabs it with one arm, and slowly starts wrapping himself in the curtain. And then he starts spinning around until he's cocooned in this red curtain. And still singing the song. And then it pans out, and you see the curtain just kind of spiraling towards the edge of the stage. The rest of the band's playing. And then it starts unrolling across the stage again. And then he just comes out and doesn't miss a beat and keeps singing the song. I wish I saw that live. That would have been amazing.
No kidding. Could you imagine going to a music festival where Faith No More was the daytime middle act? Like, who's headlining that show?
That would be ridiculous. I don't even know who the headliner was on that. But you have to see the video of Faith No More. That was spectacular. That would be amazing. I know I was reading a book. It was a book called Let's Go to Hell. It's kind of this biographical story of the Butthole Surfers. And they talk about, I think it was Glastonbury as well. They went on their first European tour. They go over to Glastonbury, and they took their instruments. They flew across the pond. They're playing in Glastonbury. And like the second song of their set, they just destroy all of their instruments in a very Butthole Surfers kind of way. And they just absolutely destroy everything. Can't finish the rest of their set. And I don't even know if they had other shows after that they were supposed to do in Europe, but they just destroyed all of their instruments. I'm sure they picked some others up, but they just kind of did their own thing. And it was their first European tour. Blow everything up. Why not? It's very Keith Moonish of them.
Why not? The first concert that I went to was Guns N' Roses. It was the Use Your Illusion tour, and they played the Augusta Civic Center, and this is Augusta, Maine, not Augusta, Georgia, back to our geography from last time. And it's it's like an old Civic Center building. They have like, the motorhome shows there and random, events and things like that. But there's a big arena area for, I don't know, 15 to 20,000 people to sit, or whatever number it was. I'm sure it was smaller than that, but at the time it seemed much bigger. And they played so loud that the ceiling tiles actually started falling down from the roof. So it was like, oh, this song is amazing. Watch out.
They brought the roof down. Yeah. Was that one of their country songs that they were playing, Clay?
It was Live and Let... Get out of the way. Yes. The popular, ever so popular country band, Guns N' Roses. And you know who opened for them?
Travis Tritt.
Negative.
Oh.
Mr. Brian May himself.
Wow.
It was the Brian May Band. So he played a lot of songs that nobody recognized, and then finished with, We Will Rock You When We Are the Champions, which everybody loved because they know that one. And I just remember
what they want.
Yep. Well, and the drummer was like doing his thing, and he tried to do that really cool like drumstick flip into the air thing, and then like completely lost it. So he's like, "Oh my god!" and like jumped in front of the drum set to catch it. It was
pelts Brian May in the back of the head with a drumstick. Oh my god! You've just taken out a musical legend.
Yep.
And an astrophysicist at that.
The first person I ever saw perform live was Brian May.
It's all downhill from there.
Pretty much.
Wow. So it was Brian May opening for Guns N' Roses. The Guns N' Roses was the show. My first concert rivals that in many, many ways, because at the county fair when I was super little, I saw The Kingsmen. That was my first concert. And I'm not talking that really cool movie of like, we're tailors. No, just kidding. We're British spies. No, The Kingsmen, Louie. That was my first concert at a county fair. And I remember I had this like neon green hat that said The Kingsmen on it and said Louie. I thought that was like the most prized possession. I must have been like 7 or 8 at most.
Oh, wow.
When I went to that concert. I can still remember pieces of it. But the one that I remember most is actually a second concert, which was kind of during the same fair season, I guess, is what they have. I don't know. was BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive, and Randy Bachman
bacon carrot biscuits.
Yes. Taking care of business on stage, and Freeway, and I to this day am a diehard BTO fan, and I have no shame about it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, it's been a long time since those days. One
of my favorite scenes in The Simpsons is when Bachman Turner Overdrive is playing live, and Homer's out there, and they're playing. He's like, play taking care of business. And I go, I'll get to it. He's like, play it. Like, so they start playing the song, and he's like, working overtime. They're like, that's the same song. Play it.
It's like Teenage Wasteland. Play that song. It's called Baba O'Reilly. I remember The Simpsons with Aerosmith, and Steven Tyler gets up there and he's like, good evening, Cleveland. They're like, good evening, Springfield. Like, nobody knew where he was.
And that's why Aerosmith is your favorite band?
Among other reasons, yes.
Good talk.
Just kill the conversation.
Yep.
Yes, it is. The end.
Well, no need to talk about this anymore then.
No, I'm just trying to think of concerts, because last episode we were talking about Weird Al and the Oregon State Fair and all of that. And it's interesting because, like, I've seen Styx 5 times live. Huge Styx fan. Love Styx. They bring an amazing show. If you ever have an opportunity to see them live, you'll be a lifelong fan. They're a blast to see. But now it's like, and it comes around every summer, not this summer, obviously, because things are changing, but every other summer we've seen it, and it's like, coming soon. And you're like, okay, I don't know, pick a band that we really liked. Alice in Chains. No, here's a better one. Sublime with Rome is coming. And you're like, yeah, cool, Sublime, right? Playing the county fairgrounds. And it's like, in my mind, the fairgrounds were always kind of like that. Well, this is where you land when you can't do the arenas anymore.
Yeah, it's where rockers go out to pasture.
Right. But then you're like, Sublime's coming. And now it's like a cool thing to be at the fairgrounds, I guess. I don't know. So now, just to experience, what is it, Rage Against the Machine is going to be playing the county fair at some point. That would be, if Rage Against the Machine, I'm going on a tangent here because that's what I do really well. If Rage Against the Machine plays a Texas county fair, and I don't know about it, you need to let me know, because I will be on a plane, because I want to come be in the audience when Rage Against the Machine plays a Texas county fair. Only for the music, no other reason whatsoever.
I just have a really hard time picturing them going on the county fair circuit. Like, we're so anti-establishment, so let's go play behind the tilt-a-whirl and the fried dough.
Someone in like Daisy Dukes eating an elephant ear walks up and that'd be awesome.
Well, Tom Morello is too busy teaching masterclasses on guitar playing and musical production to even entertain the idea of going to a county fair.
Are we going to get there, though? Are we going to get to Rage Against the Machine playing county fairs?
Them specifically, no. But like you said, like bands that we grew up with, I mean, I could probably see like Soul Asylum doing it, or I don't know, because the county fair to me is like you said, like the arena rockers. And the music that we grew up with was so anti-establishment that I'd have a hard time seeing them doing the county fairs. Like, Hootie and the Blowfish to me seems like a county fair band. Or
Darius Rucker went country, and now we don't get Hootie.
The Gin Blossoms.
Oh, but the Gin Blossoms. Oh, Gin Blossoms. Let's say it one more time just so we can drive it home.
Gin Blossoms.
Moira. That's how I derail your thought process. So, Gin Blossoms.
Episode 9, the callback episode.
Big Head Todd and the Monsters.
Oh, yeah. Who else? Who else from that? Vanilla Ice. You know Vanilla. He's got nothing else going on right now.
No, he's got some.
No, he's flipping houses, isn't he?
That's what I was going to say. He's doing some home renovation thing. I don't know. Dashboard Confessional. Playing the county fairs. That would seem... That's kind of counterintuitive to Dashboard Confessional, isn't it? Like, let me get up here and mope on stage for a little bit. I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you ask your 18 children to please be a little bit more quiet and open your bag of Funyuns a little quieter? I'm trying to express my emotions up here.
Okay. Well, then My Chemical Romance could do it instead. Or The Used.
Makes me wonder who's going to end up on county fairs. Like, I'm looking at all these CDs that I have around me right now. I'm like, okay, who would play Sophie B. Hawkins? There you go. County fair with Sophie B. Hawkins. Damn. I wish I was your... No.
Damn, I wish that was my fried dough.
Cherry Poppin' Daddies. That's a county fair band.
That's a county fair band. So who else? Mighty Mighty Boss Tones? Like, would they do like
Well,
the
then
whole
you gotta
ska
go
circuit?
like Aquabats.
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
The Stray Cats, Brian Setzer. That's.
He's too busy doing Christmas shows to do the county fairs.
So let's think for a minute then and think about today's music. Who's going to be the county fair in 25, 30 years from now?
It'll probably be some YouTube star. It'll be that JoJo, what's her name?
I'm not up to speed on the YouTube's sensations. Ninja. Isn't he a Fortnite guy? I don't know.
It's just somebody out there playing video games in the county fair.
Now we're like, that's probably what it'll be, but this is like the total dad moment. Where wow, not that kind of...
No. You want to watch you want to watch Fortnite legends playing Super Mario Brothers on a big screen at the county fair.
When I was a kid, we used to floss in our computer room, but now he's on a stage at the county fair doing the floss because he won in Fortnite. Ha, ha, ha. Oasis. County Fair 2041 Oasis.
Don't you need to be American to do the county fairs?
No. I right when I said no, I was thinking I need to come up with some non-American band that should be playing county fairs.
The
Marvelous Bohunks. Let them play county fairs in America. Call your senator or your politicians.
Let the Bohunks play the county fair.
Demand that the Bohunks play the county fair. We will start a petition on change.org.
Because that gets results. All it does is get you signed up for other letters. Emails.
Speaking of
emails and texts,
bands,
that's what it gets you signed up for.
I don't want any more texts or emails. No, I do want emails about music, but I don't want... Unless it's a county fair music, change.org email. See? I'm onto something here. It'll probably be the next military service that we enlist. It'll be County Fair Force. I'm stopping right there because that conversation could have just gone. Ooh. Which brings us to this week's music.
It sure does, Greg.
Clay, has it been a few episodes since I've dug myself a hole? Let's get digging, shall we?
Well, you've got lots of problems, but they're not female trouble.
Saw a giant hook come out of the side of the screen and get off stage.
Thank you. Try the veal.
Tip the waitress. I'll be here all evening. County Fair Force. 6 teeth minimum.
That sounds... No. I mean, I saw that Netflix is doing... Are they doing
Carell, Space Force.
Is it a TV show or a movie?
It's a show.
It's a show? Okay. Because it should be a movie. And yeah, like... That could be the movie, and County Fair Force could be the B movie that starts after it.
Like Kung Fury.
Is it B movies start before the A movies? I can't remember how this goes.
It's the opener. They're the Brian May to Guns N' Roses.
Ooh. Oh, somebody just threw down the gauntlet.
Digging the holes.
So now I'm trying to think, like, B movies. B movies would usually come on beforehand, and those were usually like the really terrible, campy, blah-bitty-blah movies, right? Like, I'm thinking, that
Velocipaster, Kung Fury.
Yeah. Or The Vampire and the Weekend. No. The Vampire of St. Louis.
I hate being a vampire in St. Louis. It sucks here. It sucks being normal in St. Louis. Sending love to all of our St. Louis friends. Digging the hole.
This is the episode where it all falls apart.
We have music to talk about too, right?
We do.
So county fairs and music that's been around a while, it tends to be that you kind of get shuffled over to the county fair, right? So you think about...
I love that you're taking us back to the county fair, even though I got us to B movies and cults and cult classics and, our first band. But go ahead, let's go back to the county fair.
They tie together, and here's how. Because a lot of times that you think about bands that have been around that have been releasing music since like the early 80s, and they kind of get shuffled aside if they're not still prominently on the marquee. So they get shuffled to the county fair. And I'm not saying that that's like the D-League kind of, well, you can still play a guitar and you can still stand. Here you go, Three Dog Night, go play a county fair. Like, they get shuffled aside. So for someone who's been releasing music from the early 80s that kind of maybe fit that B-movie role kind of in a way that they're just never quite to the forefront per se, but still, it might be campy in a lot of ways, but there's some quality there and there's fun and you kind of gravitate to those from time to time. There's something special about somebody who can still succeed with not being shuffled off to the county fair circuit without being shoved down like Kung Fury or Velociraptor.
Well, it involves reinventing yourself. I mean, I think of Josie Cotton, who is our first track, and, you know, she kind of made her bones as a new wave artist in the early 80s. I think like she had the one, you know, arguably could have been a one-hit wonder with Johnny Are You Queer, and then went on and maybe did a couple other songs and did some acting, and then in 2007 released the Invasion of the B-Girls CD. I'm saying CD because she didn't release it anywhere else. There were no digital downloads, there were no tapes, there was no vinyl. It was just like, get this compact disc and this is all you get. And recently had it remastered into the digital age, or the vinyl age, for those of you who enjoy the warmth of vinyl. And even though that this album was released in 2007, I feel like the whole theme of this album is she's covering all of these B-movie tracks from, there's your favorite, there's Goodbye Godzilla from Return of Godzilla, and then like from the film Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, you know, she's doing the song Run Pussycat. There's a whole, like, the Black Klansman is on there. And then the one that we're covering this week is Female Trouble, which is the title track of the album, was originally a John Waters camp cult classic. But my point in bringing all this up is that these camp cult classic, whatever you want to call them, B movies, to use Josie's words, you know, they have a demented humor and in-your-face irreverence towards society that all spoke to me. And the best ones seem to be from the 1960s and 70s for some reason. But I feel like kind of that demented humor and in-your-face irreverence could be applied well to today's society with all of the craziness we have going on, and that we could probably use some B movies right about now.
I've got lots of problems, female trouble. Maybe I'm twisted, female trouble. They say I'm insane, but I don't care. Go ahead, put me in your electric chair. I've got lots of problems.
Great, your thoughts?
Wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And the timing of this is just almost, it's almost poetic, because here we are, so many people are stuck at home. They've reached the threshold of their comfort in streaming movies and things like that. But it's time that why not give in to that style that's so bad that it's good? Like, it's campy, I was joking about Velociraptor and Kung Fury. And like Kung Fury, if you haven't seen Kung Fury, it is a glorious crapshoot of a campy movie that is just, it's fantastic, where this kung fu artist fights Hitler, and there's one line where Hitler looks at Kung Fury and says something to the effect of, "Kung Fury, you and I are not that different. We both like red and we kill people." And then Kung Fury destroys him. And it's like this, like women riding dinosaurs with laser beams as part of Kung Fury, because that fits in with whatever the hell's going on. It's so bad that it's actually good, and it's got Hacker Man in it and all these other things that you look at it and you're like, this is so cheesy, but at the same time, I love it. And Josie Cotton is a great artist. There's no denying that. But to come back and do these Invasion of the B-Girls and these campy type, so bad that they're good style songs, it's a nod to a glory and comfort that a lot of people probably really enjoy, but they won't admit because it's just not socially cool to admit it and give into it. Enjoy it. Female Trouble, Josie Cotton is great. It's this 50s undertone, neo-retro female powerhouse that's Josie Cotton swooning out this track that sings, hey, spare me your morals. Look, everyone dies. What pleases me is homicide. But it comes across in this crooning type female presence that's just gloriously campy all in and of itself. And I love it.
Yeah, I loved what John Waters said about her rendition of Female Trouble when he said Josie Cotton makes the unlistenable unforgettable. And he's being kind of self-deprecating and saying that, like, what he chose for his own music at the time, in, you know, B movies being, you know, so bad that they're good, and her actually taking this bad but good material and then making it something even better. And I think she does a great job with that. It's just like that. It just kind of, you know, swoops in with that big band sound at the beginning with all of the horns and the kind of the funky chop guitar.
I've got lots of problems. I'm the dead. I like it fine. As long as I'm grabbing a headline, I've got lots of problems.
When I came into Female Trouble by Josie Cotton, I did what I always do, which is just I hit play on the track and I listen to it. And after the fact is when I tend to go in and dig down in it and try and figure out. When I first hit play on this, if you don't come into it knowing the backstory to it, it comes across as this, there's no way that this track could have been released in the last even 15, 20 years. There's just no way. It doesn't fit in any way. It's got the smooth guitar work, arguably this pigs on the wing type moment at about 1:45.
The funk breakdown with the slap bass going on.
Yeah, and this like snorting sound that's occurring at the same time. And it all pieces together and it feels so retro. It's vocally innocent, lyrically anything but. Yet when it all comes together, it creates this presence and this just voluminous sound that is absolutely unforgettable. And for what it's worth, it's shamelessly enjoyable and on repeat for that matter as well.
So go check out Invasion of the Bee Girls by Josie Cotton, out now.
On Kitten Robot Records. In keeping with the theme and style of this retro but current type sentiment or undertone that we're working with on this part of the mixtape, it is fitting that we branch into Devon Williams, A Tear in the Fabric, this jangle pop that has a late 80s, early 90s vibe kind of underlying to the track. It feels like it should be the climactic track to a late 80s, early 90s love story movie film type situation where it changes the storyline. The guy gets the girl or the girl gets the guy, and then there's some underlying moral to this that feels like it lifts you up and it'll create a memory and a lasting change in your life and mindset moving forward. At least tonally, that's what I get from this track from singer-songwriter Devon Williams. It's his first returned back from a 6-year hiatus, and it incorporates this style that it's mixed and layered with a lot going on, but superficially, to me, matches that late 80s, early 90s kind of movie large moment that needs a quality sound to accompany it.
Tonally, I could get that, or I should say, tonally, I can get that, because I feel that music, and I see what you mean through kind of going through that, like you said. I mean, you used the exact word I was going to use, which is the jangle pop. But subject matter wise, I kind of feel like if you're going to put it in kind of one of those boy meets girl kind of movies, to me it's more of like a Into the Woods, where sure, that boy meets girl, but then in the second act, like all of a sudden nothing's going great anymore and you're questioning everything, because I feel like the subject matter of this track is got a lot more of that kind of hesitancy about becoming somebody walking into real life. And I know, like you said, it was 6 years between Gilding the Lily and Tearing the Fabric, and there was a lot that happened in William's life during that time. His notably the birth of his daughter 4 years ago, and then his illness and eventual death of his father last year. And so a lot of this kind of had him thinking about reality in a different way, and some of those events just kind of lead to, as he calls them, tears in the fabric. You listen to the opening verse, and there's kind of this whole father-child conversation going on with, give your dreams and stand in my shoes. You think you can do it on your own. You're cold and clean and happy to make the cut. You want to disappear. You got that look on your face. There's only so much you can do when that person isn't you. And there's just so much about departure from the situation that you're in a lot of this track.
Indefensible behavior. I'm still in touch with that word. Give up your dreams and stand in my shoes. You think you could do it on your own. You're cold and clean and happy to make the cut. You wanna disappear, you've got that look on your face. There's only so much you can do when that person isn't you. Too late now to start all over. One more night against this empty eye.
The track is admittedly it chronicles a journey from confusion to clarity, and I think the way that it is structured and pieced together really embodies that. As you pointed out with the beginning of the track, it's got this thunderstorm that we see pop up again throughout the track, and it tries to pick up audibly at the same time. So it in the background tries to lull itself, and at the forefront tries to pick itself up, and it creates this almost tug of war that I feel in A Tear in the Fabric, that it's similar to the slide guitar that exists in the background that counters that arcing, chipping guitar work that's trying to pick up pace. It's trying to break out of itself is what it feels like. And it feels like there's just this embodiment and this internal struggle, if not trying to scream from the inside out, that's just not quite being achieved. But it's all done in this beautiful way that if you just listen to this in the background or in passing, it's going to give you a completely different feel than it does if you sit down and you really get into it and spend time with it. And I think that is what draws me to this track, is that it can be two things all at once. And even while you're listening to it and spending time with it, you start to pick up pieces that within itself, it's two things at once. And that's really impressive in my eyes.
My mood is changing, and I feel guilty about it. 'Cause you can still taste that cigarette. You wanna run away, but you'll never get it back. But in this new world, are you a prisoner? Where every other night is the same old box. Tiptoeing across the floor on, bouncing from past to future. Tired of all this charading, another tear in the fabric.
you're picking up on so much of the instruments, which wholeheartedly agree with. And this is one of those songs where I feel like if I'm listening to it and my brain is only allowing me to pay attention to one thing at a time when I'm listening to it, it's the vocals in this track, like 100%. And, you know, he's kind of got that, it's not flat, but kind of like tinny vocals kind of going through the whole story. But just the words that he uses to talk about some of these pictures, like I think around the 2:15 mark, he has this great line about tiptoeing across the floor. I'm bouncing from past to future. And it's like not being in the present, but just kind of like, where have I been? Where am I going? Is this what I want? Should I be doing this? You know, what's my next step? And then even into this, there's a great progression at the end with the bridge around 3 minutes, where he just kind of goes into this whole thing like calendar's full. It's too much to handle. Did you call the bank? You're not practical. Like there's all of these like noise that's going on in his head, and it just kind of feels like tearing the fabric to me is all of these things that creep into your life that create these holes and make life tough to deal with. And you're trying to, like at the beginning, you're trying to escape, and then at the end, you're trying to get back to something.
What you pointed out was incredibly on point, and it speaks volumes to it. And it's a tear in the fabric almost feels like a tear at the fabric at the same time, because it feels like it's pulling. And it's that tiptoe but bounce. It's this almost resisting but releasing all at the same time that happens. And I think you're absolutely on point with that early sentiment of wanting to escape, wanting to get out and break free and finding this track, and then at the same time trying to return to some sort of simplicity. And that's what Devon Williams really gets, and that's what he's achieved really, really well. And it's got this interesting pop vocal delivery that has this very well layered structure to it as well. And A Tear in the Fabric is a great track that's full of discovery, and strongly suggest people spend some time with this. It is the title track from the May 2020 album, and go check out Devon Williams, A Tear in the Fabric.
What's funny is I put this mix together, I don't know, like a month ago, and I've been listening to it pretty regularly. And it didn't just strike me until now that I realized that Devon Williams and Chelsea Williams both have the same last name.
They're not related?
The more you know. No, I don't think they are. I mean, that might be a thing that I need to look up, but I don't believe
How many
are.
Williams can there be in LA?
You're right, Greg. They are actually both from Los Angeles.
Hey, I have that in recording. Greg was right. Take that, 6th grade science teacher. Relation unknown, but friendship needed. Because they're both talented musicians.
But very different from each other. And that's what I really liked about Chelsea Williams was, like, you got the jangle. Oh, I guess they're both kind of pop in a way. He's more the jangle pop. She's more of the Americana pop with the track Wasted, which is a really unique take on relationships, where I feel like this is kind of her, it's kind of a send-off to toxic relationships in your past. She actually says, quote, "There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you get out of a toxic relationship. I was a master of toxic relationships in my 20s. Wasted is a summary of some of my experiences wrapped up in a fun little musical package." And I feel like the key word of that is fun. I feel like the song is a ton of fun. And
Absolutely.
It's one of the things that I really like about pop as a category is, yeah, you've got your earworms, you've got your songs that play on the radio and need their necessary number of spins, but when everything about this song is structured in a really fun way.
Stepped on one too many cracks. cracks? Did I break your back? I don't wanna tell the truth anymore. Tired of pinning down the facts so you can paint them black, and I'm feeling kinda cruel keeping score. Change my name and my address, can't get further west. Still there's something tugging at my sleeve. Doing better than my best to outrun this mess, but some days you just gotta scream.
The structure is just, everything is so cool. Like how the rhymes in it kind of do that AAB, AAB. I mean, I think like the first verse, stepped on one too many cracks. Did I break your back? I don't want to tell the truth anymore. So there's your AAB. Then tired of pinning down all the facts, back to A. So you can paint them black, A. And I'm feeling kind of cruel keeping score, B. And it's just a very fun rhyming sequence. And even though the subject matter is probably hits home for a lot of people, like I know I've had my share of toxic relationships in my past where I didn't feel like at some point it's just easier to lie than to tell the truth because I don't want to have to get into this conversation again. And then it just goes through that whole sequence and then just gets right into, she's got those, like that airy pre-chorus with all of the, the ahs, and then just goes straight into something really hooky in the chorus.
It is incredibly hooky, and it's Americana pop, and I think that a lot of that comes from the experience that Chelsea Williams has had. Interestingly and fascinatingly, she was writing songs, attending open mic nights at 12 years old. She's busking in Santa Monica at 21. She is a well-versed, well-experienced musician and successful in many ways as well as a singer-songwriter. This track, to me, the way that Wasted builds itself is that, again, it's kind of a pull from itself. It gets really focused on the heartache and the facts and the experiences, the emotions. She sings, as she's talking about the relationship, doing my best to outrun this mess, but some days you just got to scream. And it feels like it needs to be this release, but it's got this almost poppy, airy tone to it that, life sucks, it can be brutal, but you got to keep smiling and keep going. So this song kind of is the audible embodiment of that, like you're getting beat up, but smile, the world needs to see you smile. And about a minute 30 into this track, it breaks down into this almost whimsical subfloor that has this upbeat style to it that just became infectious to me. And I went back and I listened to this over and over and over again because of that, because there is this smile, but while you're pained and speaking to such an emotion that I could say that we've all pretty much felt at some point.
I get that whimsical piece of it, and the kind of bridge breakdown that you talk about, like where there's the little toy piano playing in the background, that it kind of gets into the wood bass sound. And yeah, it just kind of, I don't know if you've seen the video for this track or not, but they go through a great little sequence where they're doing basically go-go dancing in the middle of a field, and it just kind of adds that whole whimsy that you talked about. And I go back to a subject that we talked about a couple times where it's just sometimes you've got kind of a bummer of subject matter, and if you paint a light, airy track around it, it adds to some of that duality of the emotions. Even though this is dealing with kind of a bad relationship story, it's all about moving past it, which I think is kind of like that, like you said, the smile piece, which is, all right, I'm done with this, I'm moving on. There's all of this release now. Now I can smile. Now I can take a breath. the way that the song is constructed is that, you know, the whimsy and the smile is there is more of like a catharsis to dealing with all of this negativity that just kind of, it's washing over and relief to just kind of like, I think less smile and I think more just like sigh, like release, like get rid of it all.
I think that's absolutely on point. You make a really good point with that. And so go listen to Chelsea Williams' Wasted. See what the release is to you.
This is also off her new album, which came out on May 8th, called Beautiful and Strange. And in lieu of touring, Chelsea Williams is also doing the Beautiful and Strange Quarantine Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on all of her social media and things like that. So if you want to go check those out, we'll have links in our show notes, and enjoy. I would ask you a question. I would pose a question to you, which is, we already covered somebody this week that had prominence in the 80s, released something in the mid to late 2000s, and some of the reason that we were having that discussion was, they're re-releasing their, Josie Cotton's re-releasing the B-Movies album. And when you posed this track to put into the mix, and I first heard the name Louis XIV, I'm like, I remember those guys. They had that one song in 2008 that I didn't really enjoy, but I'm going to put this out. Like, I'm cool, and I listened to the track and I enjoyed Playtime. I think it's a fun song, but I'm going to ask you, what was it about this track that made you say, I need to put this in here? That this band that got kind of big in the late 2000s. I mean, they were doing, the late night shows and all of that. I'll say they were on the late night show circuit. What about this track made you feel like we need to share this with people?
I have listened to The Best Little Secrets Are Kept, the 2005 album from Louis XIV, since 2005. Still in regular rotation for me. Slick Dogs and Ponies, which was their 2008 release, I thought got a bad rap. I thought it was a great record, and it ultimately saw the end of Louis XIV as we knew them. That's not the end of Jason Hill. Jason Hill has had a monumentally successful career as a producer and doing other stuff. Vicky Cryer, The Synthetic Love of Emotional Engineering, which was the brainchild and amazingly executed quote-unquote supergroup that had contributions from some major artists, including a member of Muse. In my mind, the world could not get enough Louis XIV. We need more Louis XIV. To understand that there were only 3 records by Louis XIV, the 2003 self-titled, 05's Best Little Secrets Are Kept, 08's Slick Dogs and Ponies. I felt cheated that we didn't get more Louis XIV because I felt like it just got tossed away as this, like, I don't even know how to put it. It's almost this, people thought it was a joke, like these lyrics and the way that it was. Well, it felt to me
that's like, what I would say is I feel like they were poorly represented because, I mean, I know when we first met, like you tried to sell me on Best Little Kept Secrets when we met, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but I'm not going to listen to this because I just got such a bad taste in my mouth from finding out True Love is Blind, because that track to me was, I mean, I almost want to say it felt like the Lou Bega of indie rock.
Oh, Lou Bega of indie rock, and I get that, and finding out True Love is Blind, it is
a little bit of chocolate girl in my life, a little bit of carrot top in my mind. Yeah, sorry.
But it is borderline offensive to some.
I would say it's past borderline. I would say it's totally misogynistic and offensive.
It is, but at the same time, like, I don't see Louis XIV as misogynistic, but almost this persona that's creating this track that is incredibly catchy. It's very easy to sing along with and almost shamefully easy to sing along with. It in the way that you could just understand and the lyrics get stuck in your head just by listening to it.
Is it like
I'm not
Fly
saying
the,
you're-
is it like Fly the Concords, like Ladies of the World, where they're just kind of doing it with a wink and a nod?
It almost feels that. It almost feels like I'm going to take that white sunglass wearing dude bro guy, I'm going to give him an anthem, and I'm going to make it so shameful that he's going to love singing it, and the rest of the world who understands that it's shameful is going to see them for what they are. That's the feeling that I got.
Okay, well,
Like,
I feel like
take
that
one-
message did not get received.
It didn't, and they were so misunderstood, and then they disappeared after 2008. I mean, we ultimately saw the end of Louis XIV as we knew it, or so we thought. And then suddenly Jason Hill's Instagram pops up with this image and this idea, and then Louis XIV pops up again, and all of a sudden there's this excitement of, oh my gosh, are we really getting into something new again? And then we get Playtime, and we could see that here we are 12 years after Slick Dogs and Ponies, and that provocative syncopated rock that is unapologetically full of hooks and lyrics that will make you throw second takes when they hit your ears is still there. There's an energy, there's a bounce, there's a vibrancy to this that I can't get enough of. And when we saw Playtime, I thought, this is fantastic. We've got to listen to it. I've got to listen to it. And then when we were doing the mixtapes, I thought, throw it into the mixtapes because Playtime is there. And I'm Jason Hill and Brian Karsig, excuse me. I'll just say it. In my mind, they are musical geniuses with the way that they can put together a track that has this syncopation and this thump to it with this guitar that is identifiably them. And then you get these lyrics that take you out of this rose-colored glasses bubblegum world that so many people want to live in, and it pushes the edges out, but I think it does so in an intellectual way that I like to listen to over and over and over again.
Have you ever been left with no runner? Stuck inside hot days of summer. You caught downstairs, but the doorman had no class. But he's having a blast. Life's just crazy all the time. Was getting crazy by the minute. Life's just crazy all the time. I'm so happy I'm still in it. It's such a great day. All you wanna do, you gotta play.
I'll admit I got a lot of that out of the track too. I mean, the first note I wrote down about this song was bouncy summer track. Like, to me, this is a summer tune, and I know they say summer in the lyrics, so that kind of maybe helps with it. But it's got that, syncopated bounce like you talk about, and is fundamentally well constructed, like the previous track that we talked about. And as something as simple as him saying, call me out, hooray, and then there's the
Hooray!
harmonious chorus going hooray in the background. Like, it's just, everything about it is, like you said, is well thought out and well put together. And I will say it gives me, it's a track that's giving me the opportunity to rethink my stance on a band that I had so quickly written off.
Yes! I've succeeded!
Mixtape over. Greg has gotten done what he wanted out of life.
We're done here.
Finally got Clay to listen to Louis XIV.
It's such a great day. All you wanna do, you gotta play time today. Hey, call me out, hooray. It's such a fine time, ready for prime time. Play time today. Hey, call me out, hooray.
There is nothing like Louis XIV. I am all for a constructive pushing of the limits and boundaries and comforts of individuals. Constructive. I'm not saying that people need to go out and purposefully try and make someone uncomfortable by any means. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if there's something that you can find, a book, a movie, a song, that pushes you in your comfort zone a little bit, that maybe makes you deviate off center from your zen and your balance, whether you love it or hate it, you come out of that being a little bit different and maybe growing a little bit from yourself. Louis XIV to me embodies that, and it's not this subtle, like, hey, got this idea, read this pamphlet and see if you change your mind. It's a giant, like, what was that show where people would try and run across those balls and then they'd throw those giant, like, foam hammers at them, like they'd come swinging in the pendulum? Wipeout. It's like, it's an Audible version of Wipeout. You're trying to make it from point A to point B, and here comes this giant ball to try and knock you off of where you're headed and what you're focused on. Louis XIV is an Audible Wipeout in that it'll make you really consider, do I like this? Do I not like this? Why don't I like this? Why do I like this? And it makes you critically think about your taste in them that they're delivering to you. And to me, that's so complex and so beautiful all at the same time. I find nothing wrong with Louis XIV, and I love Playtime because of it too. And I'm thankful to have more Louis XIV.
I agree. I feel like you need some of your musical taste needs to be something that just puts you on your back foot all the time. And so thank you for, again, trying to reintroduce me to this band that does that and creates that Audible Wipeout that you're talking about. And so I look forward to seeing what they have to put out other than Playtime. But in the meantime, go check out Louis XIV's new track, Playtime, available on all your streaming devices. Well, I know that you challenged me with the last track of trying to like a band that you recommend and that I paused on, but I thought I would take an opportunity to challenge both of us on a genre that we don't necessarily cover a lot of the time here and delve into the world of hip-hop with a very lyrically frenetic track in Hopscotch by love-sadKID. love-sadKID is the moniker of non-binary artist Ben McGibney of Texas, who recently turned 18 and released their new album, Growth, earlier this year. And I feel like Hopscotch was a good way to end this mixtape in a kind of a laid-back fashion, not necessarily in the lyrics, because I feel like the lyrics are just like a non-stop onslaught. They just kind of keep coming at you. Every time I listen to this, I pick up something new that McGibney is saying, or Onodera, who's doing the second half of the rapping. Like there's just a lot going on in there, but they pause it so well with the kind of laid back pace of the drum track and the bass going on in the background, and then with Delaney doing the chorus kind of interstitial, it just kind of helps create an ebb and a flow to a lot of that vocal attack.
We've been on this road for too long. I can feel it coming soon tonight, and I don't know where it's all going, but I know that
in my favor, following, finding fickle dreams to put my pen to the paper. I think it's hopscotch, jumping off one leg into another. Better bet I'd make those colors change. Sunny days to acid rain. Life is just a massive pain with cigarette burns and ash stains. Y'all must be smoking something. Fitted in my lungs. I gotta shout to get the word out like I'm swimming in the syrup. I should have drowned inside this world. No wonder mama got it out for me. Slower than I need to go. Burning rubber. Hopefully that someone else can see the smoke. SOS. I need that help. I am a mess, a handful. At least my mama says I'm funny and I'm handsome. I've been jumping around on one leg, losing balance like a mix. Signing deals on left and right. I need that money in the bank. Feeling hopeless. Don't know where the road is. Lost my side a mile back and all I am is over it. I know that's sitting.
I think what you've said is absolutely on point, in that I think that I'll even say it, the Nanobot rock has been underserving with hip hop. I listened to some hip hop. For what it's worth, I was the hip hop that I really like is French hip hop. I've listened to French hip hop for years. I really enjoy it. But what I tend to notice about hip hop when I'm listening to it, or when we get hip hop submitted to us, is that there's, especially in modern hip hop, there's this tendency or this pitfall that could potentially happen where it just gets carried away from itself. It just becomes so big and it explodes and just keeps going. And it's almost too difficult to consume in many ways. So the way that you had pointed out that love-sadKID's Hopscotch ebbs and flows and balances itself with that the lyrics that are coming early on from McGibbony to Onodera coming out at the end and in the latter part, and then balanced by Delaney's chorus there as well. It balances itself in such a way that it takes flight without completely getting carried away in itself. And it comes across with this smooth execution that is very captivating to me. And to understand that this sort of vision and execution is completed by someone who just turned 18 is remarkable in and of itself. But even if you separate that, it's not just to listen to this because McGibbony just turned 18, but that this is just, it's a really good track. I really enjoy Hopscotch.
Well, and you mentioned that they just turned 18, and I know that's kind of a big deal. It's kind of the defining moment of becoming an adult, and a lot of the thematic elements of growth and of Hopscotch in general is also this kind of, as they put it, having a world outlook and being a reluctant member of Gen Z. And Gen Z is now getting to a point where they are now becoming adults. And there's all of the, responsibility that comes with that. And Onodera gets into this whole thing about responsibility in that part of the track. And there's a great line at the end about, I think I finally understand the purpose of scratching the surface of being a man. And it's after doing all of this kind of cataloging of all the things that you're supposed to be doing.
Well, it's the fortune favors consistency, yet you want to blow up and become something. It's really fascinating that we get this track from that, as you put it, and as was said, the reluctant member of Gen Z, because we're running into a really interesting scenario here where, especially when you talk about hip hop, and in a style of hip hop that's combining that old school rap sentiment or sensibility with this new outlook, because for once, it's a whole generation that's coming of age with technology, but there's still such an old school sentiment and undertone to this that carries with this uncertainty that we all face outside of music, but we all face as individuals, of becoming an adult. And then how do you mash that together in the last 20 years? You look at it and growing up over the last 20 years, I'll take when I grew up over growing up in the last 20 years, because the last 20 years are, in my mind, so much more difficult than what we had.
Well, and I'll even say that growing up in the last year is going to be more challenging for everyone. I couldn't imagine, coming of age, quote unquote, in the year 2020 when the entire world has been turned on its head.
And what better way to wrap your arms around that or try and make sense of it than the way that changes and adversity in so many different ways has always been, and that is through hip hop. I think that there's such a poignant meaning to this track coming of age in a time when, as you said, is so difficult that it almost becomes this anthem, and it gets back to us old school rap as was put, the rap aesthetic, that it means something. It's not just to get out there and rap about rap just to get out there. It actually, it holds meaning, and it's this story that's being told that tells of coming of age and the uncertainty and trying to do that. But then, by the way, the hardest point of your life after your teen years, the world's going to go into this tailspin all of a sudden, momentarily in the grand scheme of things. But we're going to take what's been some of the hardest years you'll ever experience in life, and we're going to make it even more difficult in a time where you should be, quote unquote, becoming a man and growing up, or becoming a woman, and go get a job, go become a productive member of society. Oh, you can't.
I could not have said it better myself. Right music for the right time. Go check out Growth by love-sadKID. The track is Hopscotch.
I even been lying less. Not a whole lot left to confess. I think I finally understand. Serving your purpose and scratching the surface of being a man. So deep inside my head, affection read like accusation. Couldn't hear her begging me for reciprocation. Partly believing every resource spent need compensation. Forgetting love is not a zero-sum equation. Got nothing but patience.
There are things inside your heart that you can't choke in blood.
But that don't mean I don't want to. My default to confront you. But where's the growth and holding close to things that brought me here?
Who you are gon' change as much as what you thought you loved.
Boy, everything is perfect. I'm everyone I'm supposed to be. Not a follicle or cell out of place.
We've been on this road for too long, too long. I can feel it coming soon tonight, and I don't know where it's all gone, but I know that it'll be alright.
Thank you, everyone, for listening this week and sharing in these new tracks and experiencing music with us. We appreciate your time, and we love hearing from all of you. Shout out to our friend Brad, who reached out to Nanobot Rock with some musical questions, and we ended up going into a Spotify wormhole of musical discovery together. That was really cool. If you have anything that you think we should hear, please feel free to send it to us. You can check out our website at nanobotrock.com, and we're on Twitter, social media, Facebook, YouTube's, the whole 9 yards. Keep listening to local and independent music. Keep supporting local and independent artists. And another caveat to this all, think about your local music venues right now, because they're starting to figure out how they're going to reopen and what that looks like for them. And there are a lot of ways that you could support that. I encourage you to check it out. We've got some stuff on our Facebook page that talks about that as well, or reach out to them.
Keep supporting local and independent music. Keep listening to good music. Wow, really? Keep breathing air.
Hey, look out behind you. It's the county fair force.
Keep going to the county fair. I'm trying to remember how we close this thing out. Keep listening. Keep supporting local and independent music. And keep supporting your local county fair Space Force. Until next time, keep listening to Nanobot Rock.
Support your county fair. Moira.
On this episode of Ghost Hunters, what was that? What was that? What was that? What was that?